Objectives: to study the term thermal pollution and its sources, and to understand the genuine problems of thermal pollution in the modern society.
What is thermal pollution? Thermal pollution, or may also be called thermal enrichment, is the increase or decrease in water temperature of oceans, rivers, and lakes, mainly caused by human actions. Unlike other environmental issues like air pollution and waste disposal, thermal pollution is somewhat different than one might think. Increased water temperature leads to inadequate oxygen delivery, which can kill fish and alter the composition of food chain, stimulate invasion by new thermophilic species such as archaea and bacteria, as well as can cause biodiversity loss. Any practice that disrupts the aquatic ecosystem equilibrium and alter the temperature of that environment. This eventually gives rise to thermal pollution. We can say that thermal pollution is one parameter of the wider subject of water pollution. Excess heat is emitted in the form of steam and will result in changes in climate as it affects the cloud formation. First, power plants and industrial machinery. Manufacturing and production of plants are the sources that contribute most to thermal pollution. The plants draw water from nearby sources to cool industrial machinery. While the water cools the machine, the water is also heated up by the machinery and will be sent back to its origin. As a result, thermal pollution occurs. The water temperature will rise and oxygen level will change, which causes vegetation along riverbanks to wipe out too. Second, discharge of industrial effluents. This is because effluents discharged from different sources such as manufacturing units and nuclear units to the water bodies are in form of heat and heat-absorbing materials. Third, domestic sewage. Domestic sewage is usually released into rivers, lakes, streams, or canals without being treated. The municipal water sewage temperature is commonly higher than the receiving water. Due to high temperature of the receiving water, the dissolved oxygen decreases and oxygen demand increases, which result in anaerobic condition. Lastly, runoff from paved surface. Urban runoff such as from roads and parking lots can also affect water temperature. During summer, the pavement becomes warm, leading to hot water runoff that gets into the sewer systems and water bodies.
The adverse impact of thermal pollution. Thermal pollution is a significant threat to plants and animals living underwater. Their life is in danger due to the continuous increase in temperature. Here are some adverse impacts of thermal pollution. Thermal pollution minimizes the dissolved oxygen level. When the temperature of the water increases, the level of dissolved oxygen decreases. In simple terms, the warm water contains less oxygen as compared to cold water. The reduction in oxygen level pushes the anaerobic condition underwater, affecting the life of various plant and animal species. Moreover, warm temperature allows algae to grow on the water surface. The algae growth also minimizes the oxygen level in water bodies. The second impact of thermal pollution was it increased the toxicity in water. The continuous flow of high-temperature discharge from various industries regulates to considerable amount of toxin in the water bodies. These toxins often contain harmful chemicals and radiation. When aquatic animals come in contact with these toxins, they become susceptible to various diseases. Lastly, thermal pollution impact on reproductive system. Thermal pollution is showing adverse impact of the reproductive system of aquatic animals. The reproduction of marine animals happens in specific range of temperature. Any kind of alteration, especially increase in water temperature, can affect the reproductive system of those animals. High temperature can be reason for the release of immature eggs. Sometimes excessive heat can interrupt the healthy development of certain eggs.
Bioremediation is a treatment technique that uses naturally occurring organisms to break down harmful material into less toxic or non-toxic materials. The biological organisms include microscopic organisms such as fungi, algae, and bacteria. Remediation means treating the situation. In in situ bioremediation, contaminants are treated at the same site using biological system. In ex situ bioremediation, contaminants are treated in some other place from the original site. Heat transfer are common in bioreactor operation. The first is in situ by sterilization of liquid medium. In this process, the fermented vessel containing medium is heated using steam and held at the sterilization temperature for a period of time. Cooling water is then used to bring the temperature back to normal operating condition. The other application of heat transfer is for temperature control during fermented operation. In large-scale operation, cooling water is used to achieve temperature control. In small-scale fermenter, the heat action requirements are different because the ratio of surface area to volume is much greater, and heat losses through the wall of the vessel are more significant. In-situ reactor may also require heating to maintain optimum temperature. Biosphagging is an in-situ remediation technology that uses indigenous microorganisms to biodegrade organic constituents in the saturated zone. In biosphagging, air and nutrients are injected into the saturated zone to increase the biological activity of the indigenous microorganism. Biosphagging can be used to reduce concentration of petroleum constituents that are dissolved in groundwater. Moreover, employment of phytophthora species has shown positive results. To study the role of green algae in thermal influence, the scientists analyzed influence which are phytophthora species and influence detected which phytophthora species. Results show that using phytophthora species is more versatile, inexpensive, and can transform toxin into harmless end product.
Conservation method for thermal pollution has 4 methods, which are 1. Cooling towers, 2. Cooling ponds, 3. Artificial lakes, and the last spray ponds. This cooling towers method. Cooling towers method is use of water from water system for cooling system for cooling purpose, which subsequent return to the waterway after passage through a condenser is called cooling process. Cooling towers transfer heat from hot water to the atmosphere by evaporation. Cooling towers are of two types. Number 1, wet cooling towers. Hot water coming out from the condenser reactor is allowed to spray over buffer. Cool air with high velocity is passes from side, which take away the heat and cools the water. Number 2, dry cooling towers. Here, hot water is allowed to flow in long spiral pipes. Cool air with the head of a fan is passes over these hot pipes, which cool down hot water. This cool water can be recycled. We move to the method number 2, cooling ponds. Cooling ponds are the best way to cool thermal discharge. Heated effluent on the surface of the water in cooling point minimize dissipation of heat to the atmosphere and minimize the water area and volume. The warm water which acts like a cooling pond. Next, artificial lakes. Artificial lakes are man-made water bodies that offer once through cooling. The heated effluent can be discharged into the lake at one end, and water for cooling purpose may be withdrawn from the other end. The heat is eventually dissipated through evaporation. And the last method for conservation method of thermal pollution is spray pond. The water coming out from condenser is allowed to pass into the ponds through sprayers. Here, water is sprayed through nozzle as fine droplet. Heat from the fine droplet get dissipated to the atmosphere. In conclusion, our planet Earth is unique in every aspect. Being the only planet in the solar system to sustain life, it turned out that saving it from destruction is our concern. Hence, proper measures should be taken action thermal pollution and intensive our planet Earth. For example, environmental awareness. In the present set of conditions, the issue of thermal pollution are set to increase over a period. The only viable solution would be raising environmental awareness and making people familiar with the ill effect of rapid industrialization.